Hey guys, how are all of you beautiful people doing? Hope all of you are doing fine, and yes, this is the another amazing video of Reincarnated in Naruto. So without any delay, let's start the story. Beep, 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 beep. A screen continued to monitor Izaya's heart rate and condition as he lay unconscious on a hospital bed while several people stood around the room. TSK. That bastard. It must have been Danza. Tsunade cursed. If you were trying to gather evidence before you could convict Danza in public, then I suggest you forget about it. This should be evidence enough already, don't you think? Jiraiya commented. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes in deep thought. Then what do you suggest I do? Hiruzen said as he stared out the window. Yamato clenched his fist as he said, "Please excuse me if I seem brash, but this time Danza has truly gone too far. Not only has he continued to keep his disbanded organization intact, but he has even gone to the extent of attempting to murder one of the Leaf's very own shinobi. And all this just because Izaya refused to join his organization. I believe he should be removed from his position as elder and be imprisoned." Kakashi had a look of contemplation as well before saying, "Danza is too dangerous to be left alone. We already knew that he had hidden motives to move against Lord Fifth, but to act against Izaya like this so openly and within the territory of the Leaf shows that he has no more regard for the Hokage's authority." One problem just pops up after another. Aside from Danza, apparently Orochimaru was killed by Sasuke. Most likely he's going after Itachi now as we speak. Not only that, but apparently Roshi, the Jinchuriki of the Four Tails, is missing. Most likely the work of the Akatsuki. Jiraiya commented. TSK. So soon. After the Three Tails was captured by the Akatsuki not that long ago. They sure work fast. Tsunade scowled. Kakashi turned to look at the unconscious form of Izaya and said, "It's already been a week but he still hasn't woken. What kind of poison did Danza even use on him?" Everyone then turned to look at Izaya at that moment in silent contemplation. It was a new type of poison. He probably was concocting something up in the shadows. Most likely he had some help from Orochimaru making it. It was difficult to remove from his body. The poison affected him at the cellular level. Fortunately his body is unique and was strong enough to combat the degenerative nature of the poison, ensuring he didn't die. Tsunade said as she turned to Hiruzen. "Which I think you owe us an explanation, Sarutobi-sensei. It appears you weren't surprised about what I told you when I operated on him the day you brought him to me." Everyone then turned to look at Hiruzen. What does she mean, Sarutobi-sensei? Jiraiya asked. Hiruzen let out a sigh. "The reason this kid Izaya survived Danza's poison is because many of the cells in his body are from the first Hokage Hashirama Senju." Tsunade said. "Ha!" Everyone else but Tsunade and Hiruzen exclaimed in shock. "Not only that, this kid even possesses the Sharingan." She continued. Once again everyone became shocked. They all just stared at Lord Third for an explanation. Hiruzen let out another sigh as he started his explanation. "Many years ago Izaya, Haku, and Kimimaro appeared in front of my doorstep and asked me to take them in. They were only 7 years old at the time. They traveled the distance from the land of water to the land of fire and ended up here in Konoha. As you all know by now, Haku is the last surviving member of the Yuki clan, famous for their ice-style Kekii Genkai, and Kimimaro is the last surviving member of the Kaguya clan. Kimimro can even utilize the rare Keki Genkai of his clan that allows for bone manipulation. Izaya, however, was an experimental subject of Orochimaru. What? Everyone was shocked at this revelation, although at the back of their minds they had already made a guess after hearing what Tsunade had told them just prior. Hiruzen continued. According to Izaya, Orochimaru created his body with the unique trait of being able to easily assimilate various Keki Genkai. He infused many different bloodlines into his body and had all of them coexist with the help of Hashirama Senju's powerful cells. The cells of the first Hokage have such great vitality that they were able to not only give new life and energy to the other bloodlines in his body, but also harmonize those bloodlines into one. Orochimaru also implanted the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan in hopes to create an ultimate body for which he could possess. Izaya's body has probably already assimilated the bloodline of the Uchiha clan as well, although to what degree I am unsure of. Once Izaya became conscious, Orochimaru taught him various subjects and continued his experiments on Izaya's mind and body. His experiments on Izaya's body had to do with testing his bloodlines, and his experiment on Izaya's mind had to do with torture in an attempt to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan before he would possess the body. By the time Izaya turned 5 years old, he could no longer endure the pain and torture on his body as his willpower was too weak to handle everything. Orochimaru thought that Izaya had died and abandoned him at one of his remote labs in the Land of Water. Izaya, however, ended up surviving and escaped that lab. On his journey to the Land of Fire he encountered Haku and Kimimro, and that is how they all ended up here. I took pity on them and felt responsible for his fate. Orochimaru was, after all, my pupil. I helped conceal his Sharingan and acclimate those 3 into the leaf. I have no regrets about my choices on this matter. To this day those 3 remain some of the most splendid shinobi of the younger generation of the leaf. Everyone remained quiet for a while as they took in everything Lord Third just said. Kakashi was the first to speak up. No wonder you asked me to look after these 3. Turns out they had such a history. Well, I'm glad that they're in this village as Leaf Shinobi. This is all the more reason why we can't just let Danza be. Yamato spoke up next. That's right. They are my precious students. I've watched them grow up since they were young. I won't let Danza get away after what he's done to my pupils. Jiraiya let out a sigh. That old fogey. Seriously, is the only reason he's going after Izaya's life because he refused to join Danza's organization? I feel like there's something missing. If it was just refusal, I don't think Danza would go as far as to try to kill him. Tsunade furrowed her brow in deep thought. True. Although Izaya can use the wood style and Danza covets that ability, the fact remains that Yamato was once a member of Root, but in the end he was able to gain freedom from that dark place and join under Lord Third. What's the real reason behind Danza's actions this time? Perhaps only Izaya knows. Kakashi said in contemplation. I have a pretty good guess. Hiruzen said as he mulled over his thoughts. Oh. Are you going to elaborate, Sarutobi-sensei? Tsunade inquired with curiosity. Hiruzen nodded his head. MN. Over the last 2.5 years I had Izaya, Haku, and Kimimro perform Anbu duties for me. After reading over the handwritten details of their missions, I can guess why Danza is so adamant about killing Izaya. During one of their missions, Danza attempted to recruit Izaya into his organization. After being refused, Danza utilized the power of the Sharingan he stole from Uchiha Shisui to influence Izaya's choices. What Danza did not anticipate, however, was that Izaya had already suspected a plot from Danza and outwitted him. Danza casted Shisui's genjutsu on someone else, and this allowed Izaya enough time to remove Shisui's eye from Danza. He then successfully fled before Danza could retaliate. Most likely Danza is angered by his failure to not only recruit Izaya, but the loss of Shisui's eye, which would grant him control over anyone he wishes. It is for this reason that he sees Izaya as a threat and a thorn in his side and hopes to be rid of him once and for all. He fears the power that Shisui's eye can grant Izaya and believes that eventually Izaya would use its power against the leaf. He believes no one other than he would know how to use it for the greater good. That is why he tried to steal Shisui's eye in the past and attempted to kill him. He also hopes he can recover Shisui's eye, although Izaya has not said anything about what he has done with it. It's possible that he has already destroyed it. It is my fault for giving Danza too much power in the past and being too indecisive on important matters that has led to this. I had always wished to have everyone be able to live in peace and harmony, but it appears that it is not possible. Everyone became silent again as they thought deeply about the matter. TCH. That bastard Danza. Oi, Sarutobi-sensei. If you and I work together, we can convince the other two elders Homura and Koharu to join our side and impeach Danza from his position as elder. This will remove any official power he has in the village. After that we can openly move against him without causing any major political damage. He has already disobeyed your orders to disband Root. He is plotting to remove me as Hokage. He has worked together with Orochimaru. And now he has severely injured and attempted to kill one of our very own Leaf Shinobi. I haven't even had the chance yet to tell Izaya that he has been promoted to Jonin. Tsunade said in frustration. Hiruzen sighed and said, very well. I will help you convince Homura and Koharu to join us in removing Danza as an elder. By the way, Kakashi, Yamato, you both went to the site of the attack to investigate. What did you discover? Kakashi and Yamato looked at each other with a complicated gaze before Kakashi spoke up. There wasn't much we could find. The site where this battle took place in was a large forest between the remote training grounds Naruto was using for his new jutsu and the Leaf Village. The thing is, there's only a giant crater left where the forest used to be. It must have been an insane battle to cause such damage to a forest that large. After seeing the state of the battlefield, I'm surprised that Izaya managed to make it out alive at all. Oh! That incredible of a battle, huh? That kid truly must be something then. Jiraiya commented as he took a good look at Izaya's sleeping form. Kakashi nodded and said, aside from Naruto, Izaya reminds me of Lord Fourth. Not only can he use the Flying Thunder God, he can even use the Rasengan. Eh? Truly? Everyone said in shock except Yamato and Kakashi. Tsunade let out a sigh and said, all right. I think we spent enough time dawdling around here. I've already stationed highly skilled Anbu to keep guard over this room. Haku and Kimimaro included. We need to discuss Uchiha Sasuke. Kakashi, put together a team and go after him and Itachi. If we can capture Itachi, then perhaps Sasuke will return to the village. Yes. Kakashi saluted as he accepted the mission. Jiraiya, you. Tsunade hesitated to speak further. Pway ha ha ha. What's wrong, Tsunade? I told you already. I'm going. Infiltration and information gathering is my specialty. Don't forget, I am one of Konoha's legendary Sannin. Jiraiya said as he attempted to lighten the mood. What is it? Yamato asked. Heh. I found information that says the leader of the Akatsuki is in the village hidden in the rain. Whether or not this is true, I'm going to verify the information before we decide to make a move," Jiraiya said. Everyone else's eyes widened in shock while Tsunade had a complicated and worried look. "Are you sure about this, Jiraiya? Perhaps I should accompany you. If this information is true, then it will be truly dangerous," Hiruzen said with concern. Jiraiya had a serious look on his face as he said, "Sarutobi-sensei, you're very old now, so you won't be able to move about as easily as I can. My techniques are better for espionage-type missions. Not only that, but we don't have the manpower to spare for all the current issues arising. We need Kakashi to put together a team to go after Sasuke and Itachi. We need you and Tsunade to remain in the village and hold down the fort to prevent Danza from doing anything too drastic. This is why I'm the best bet at going to verify this information. The border regulations are very strict in the Hidden Rain village, so it's best if I go alone." After a few more rounds of discussion, everyone slowly left Izaya's room. As Tsunade walked out of the room, she took a good look at the hallway and saw Naruto, Shikamaru, Neji, Hinata, Sakura, Ino, Choji, Kiba, Shino, Sai, Haku, Kimimaro, and Hanabi either sitting, sleeping, or pacing back and forth as they all waited for the higher-ups to finish their discussion. Everyone has been coming to visit Izaya's room ever since they heard about what had happened. A few of them even come every day, especially Kimimaro, Haku, and Hanabi. Hanabi had to either sneak out of the Hyuga residence or play some sort of clever trick to avoid getting found out by her father. The moment Hanabi saw Tsunade walk out of the room, she ran over as her eyes watered, but she held back the tears. "Is Izaya awake yet? It's already been a whole week." "He's getting better, right?" Hanabi asked emotionally. Tsunade just let out a sigh. "Don't worry. There isn't any danger to his life anymore. I just don't know when he'll wake up. The poison affected his mind as well as his body. While I can heal the physical damage, I can't do anything about his current unconscious state. When he awakens will depend on him now." She then placed a comforting hand on Hanabi's shoulder and smiled at Haku and Kimimaro and said, "You should all know how strong Izaya is. Don't worry, he'll pull through. Believe in his strength." Tsunade then walked off. Everyone in the hallway immediately crammed inside Izaya's hospital room as they each talked to his unconscious form in hopes he'd wake up. Lord Third had also replaced Izaya's blindfold with a new one a while ago to help protect his secret. After a few hours the sun began to set and the only ones left were Haku, Kimimaro, and Hanabi. "I'll guard the roof," Haku said as he disappeared and stood guard outside. Kimimaro nodded as he walked out in the hallway and stood guard outside the door. Hanabi sat alone next to Izaya's bed as she held onto his hand and finally let some tears fall. "Sniff. You idiot. You said that I didn't have to worry about you because you were strong. Now look what happened. I even fought back against my father for you. Wake up, dummy. You already went away for 2.5 years without saying anything to me. Now that you're back, you aren't allowed to sleep like this. It doesn't feel any different than when you disappeared on your mission. You're so close, but how come you're still so far away?" Hanabi said as her voice quaked. She attempted to wipe away some of her tears as they fell down. They fell slowly and softly and dripped down on Izaya's hand before rolling down the side of his palm, leaving behind a trail of warm, wet, salty water filled with deep emotions of fear, worry, fondness, sadness, hurt, anger, compassion, and yearning. Perhaps Hanabi was still too young to know what love really was, but at this moment, She thought maybe, just maybe, she might have begun to fall in love. Is this how Hinata feels about Naruto? Is this how Sakura feels about Sasuke? She thought silently to herself as she attempted to calm down her emotions and finally wiped away all of her tears. She then sat in a comfortable silence as she watched Izaya's chest rise up and down and listened to his steady breathing as she began to tell him about her day. Tap. 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 So you've come at last, Sasuke. Itachi said, opening his eyes at this moment as he watched Sasuke turn the corner of the Uchiha hideout and stop a few meters away from Itachi sitting on his throne. Sasuke glared at Itachi and smirked. Itachi. Today you will pay for all the crimes that you committed. I once told you only to come before me when you obtained the same eyes as mine. Itachi said. Heh. Don't think that things will always go the way you want. I'm not just going to do something because you say it. Sasuke replied. Itachi remained silent for a moment as he recalled his conversation with Izaya in the forest a while back. Indeed. I was too confident that everything was under my control. Itachi said with a sigh. Sasuke frowned. He didn't expect this kind of tone from Itachi, which made him a tad bit angrier. What right did Itachi have to sound like he was lamenting? Wasn't he supposed to be his cruel older brother who killed the entire Uchiha clan along with his mother and father? Itachi, before your death you will give me some answers. Sasuke said with gritted teeth. If answers are what you seek, then you must ask the right questions. Itachi said indifferently. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Whether I ask the right questions or not, you will tell me everything you know. Such a commanding tone requires one to have the strength first. Demanding and asking are very different. Itachi replied. Hell if I give a damn. You're a dead man anyways. Sasuke shouted. At this moment Itachi appeared beside Sasuke and said, Then will you be the one to kill me? Sasuke turned and swung his right hand towards Itachi's face as Itachi blocked with a swing of his own right hand. He grabbed Sasuke's wrist and pulled him off balance as he pulled out a kunai and stabbed at Sasuke's chest. Sasuke quickly pulled out his sword with his left hand and expertly blocked the kunai with the flat of his blade. Itachi dropped his kunai and grabbed Sasuke's left wrist and jumped in the air, aiming to kick him in the head. Sasuke blocked the kick with his right elbow and grabbed Itachi's ankles, flinging him over his shoulder while thrusting his sword upwards to stab Itachi. Itachi twisted his body in the air and grabbed onto the cloak Sasuke was wearing to give him a stable base and used that as leverage to swing his body away from the sword. He then kicked his leg at Sasuke's wrist, effectively removing the sword from Sasuke's hand as the sword became stuck on the ceiling. Itachi threw a knee strike at Sasuke, prompting him to lean backwards to dodge. This let Itachi grab onto a disoriented Sasuke's left arm and flung him over his shoulder onto the ground. Sasuke rolled a few feet into the distance as his cloak came off. He rolled into a kneeling position and activated Chidori as he rushed towards Itachi. Sasuke then said, Chidori stream. The lightning from the Chidori spread all over the ground, prompting Itachi to jump in the air to dodge. However, just as he did, Sasuke appeared by his sword in the ceiling and used it to pierce Itachi's body back on the ground. As Itachi lay there with his body pierced looking at Sasuke's Sharingan with his own Sharingan, he simply said, You've gotten stronger, Sasuke. Sasuke looked down at Itachi and said, In the end there is something I wish to know. As Sasuke was going to ask Itachi his question, Itachi pointed at Sasuke's forehead before pointing towards the throne in the room where he was sitting perfectly uninjured. It all happened in a genjutsu. Itachi's lying corpse soon turned into a flock of crows as they caught away in the room. Itachi sat with calm indifference and said, "Although it isn't over yet, what is it you wish to know? I'll listen." After a few more bouts of genjutsu, Sasuke asked his question. "Back then, you said that if I awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan then there would be 3 users. Who is the third person of the Uchiha clan you spoke of?" Itachi sat in his chair as he sighed and said, "Why, would you want to know something like that? After I kill you, he's next on the list." "That's why," Sasuke replied. "Kill him?" Itachi asked. "On the night of the Uchiha clan's massacre you told me there was a third person. There was another person of the Uchiha clan that you didn't kill, which means they helped you massacre the clan. As strong as you are, even you couldn't take out the entire police force on your own," Sasuke said as he gave his analyses. Itachi simply smirked and said, "So you've figured it out. Who is it?" Sasuke asked. Itachi sighed once more and said, "Uchiha Madara. He was one of the founders of Konoha and the first to ever awaken the powers of the Mangekyo Sharingan." "Madara is dead," Sasuke said. "Madara is alive. Whether you believe me or not is up to you," Itachi replied. "Stop messing around," Sasuke shouted. "People live their lives bound by what they see as right and true. That is what they call reality. However, right and true are nothing but vague terms. Their reality could turn out to be an illusion. Everyone is living by their own assumptions. Wouldn't you agree?" Itachi said. "What are you getting at?" Sasuke asked as he narrowed his eyes. Itachi smirked. "Madara being dead was your own convenient assumption." He paused momentarily as his meeting with Izaya once again resurfaced in his mind before a sad and soft expression graced his face. He felt the cool touch of Izaya's special kunai hanging on his waist as he closed his eyes for a moment before opening them again and gave a small smile before saying, "And believing that everything would go as I planned, it was my own convenient assumption." Sasuke gritted his teeth and said, "On that night I was so young I had to pretend that it was just a nightmare. I wanted to believe it was just a terrible illusion. But there is no mistake that it was a reality." He then shot a stream of his Chidori at another Itachi sitting in the distance as the current one beside Sasuke faded away as an illusion. "My eyes are different than before. I can see through your illusions," Sasuke shouted. Itachi continued to sit with a complicated look in his eyes. When one dabbles in the art of illusions for too long, sometimes one can become lost in the illusions themselves. When facing someone who uses genjutsu, one must either be strong enough to dispel the illusion on their own, or rely on the strength of their comrades. Itachi said. "What the hell are you babbling on about now?" Sasuke said. "I always thought that as long as I had a clear goal I would never lose my way no matter how many lies and illusions I used. But after meeting someone I realize now that my goal was the one thing that blinded me from recognizing the illusion I created for myself," Itachi lamented. Sasuke furrowed his brow. "Enough of these games, Itachi. Let's get this over with." Itachi let out a sigh as he got up from his chair. "You're certainly confident," he remarked. Zetsu just watched in a corner of the building with great interest. Beep. 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 Creak. Hanabi popped her head into Izaya's hospital room seeing no one else present. She used a shadow clone, a technique Izaya had taught her long ago, to remain at the Hyuga residence. She walked in and closed the door as she carried some flowers and a basket full of sweets and desserts she had prepared for Haku and Kimimaro. She placed the basket of sweets on a table and changed the flowers in the room. Afterwards she pulled up a chair and sat next to Izaya's bed and took hold of his hand as she started to talk about various happenings in the village. My head hurts like hell. If I'm feeling pain, does that mean I'm not dead? The last thing I remember was hearing Hanabi's voice. Why did I hear Hanabi's voice? I could have sworn I teleported to Hiruzen-sensei. After all, I wasn't just about to let Danza win and die off like that. Although I guess it was nice to have the last thing I hear be Hanabi's voice. I smell cinnamon, yum, it's making me hungry, yet also soothing to my senses. Beep. What was that noise? Beep. 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 Is that a monitor? Oh, and I stopped by Miss Mito-san's store today. She wanted me to give you her regards and she says that you better wake up soon or she'll charge you for all those clothes that you always have her repair after they get torn on missions. What? Mito-san wouldn't do that, would she? Wait, this sounds like Hanabi's voice. MN. This is nice too, I suppose. I'd like to just continue sleeping and listen to Hanabi talk, but man, am I hungry. The sweet smell of cinnamon isn't helping. Goo. My body feels so stiff. Move, damn it. I focused all my strength as I attempted to move my body. My legs, my arm, my head, my fingers, anything. As Hanabi continued to share her story, she paused momentarily. She looked down to where my hand and her hand connected and widened her eyes. Did I just feel Izaya move his fingers? Hanabi thought as her heart started to pound faster and faster and faster. Izaya. Are you awake? Did you come back to us? Hanabi asked as her voice choked. Her eyes became watery but she forced them back. You better not be playing a prank on me. I can't handle any more of your jokes. Please, come back to me. She said as her voice quaked in a soft whisper at the end. Hanabi, I tried saying but my voice wouldn't come out, so instead I focused all my strength in my hands and squeezed as hard as I could. Hanabi stopped breathing in that moment. She felt as if the world stopped spinning and all color turned to gray. Then, in the next moment, she felt it. Izaya's hand closed tightly around hers, and just like that all the wonderful colors and joy in the world came rushing back into her all at once. She slowly turned her head to look at Izaya's face just in time to see him curl his lips in a small smile. In that moment, with a deep and raspy voice from not speaking for so long, Izaya said, "Missed me that much, huh?" Tears streamed down Hanabi's face as she simply embraced Izaya in a tight hug as if he'd disappear if she let go now. She couldn't say anything as she buried her face in the nape of his neck and cried. Izaya took in one long and deep breath as he smelled the wonderful fragrance of flowers and cinnamon from Hanabi. He raised both of his arms and held Hanabi close to his chest as they remained this way for a while longer. After a while Hanabi managed to control her emotions and wiped away her tears as she sat back up on the bed. I also used my elbows to help prop me sitting upright. You idiot. You said that I didn't have to worry about you. You said that you were strong. Look at what happened to you. I was so worried that you'd never wake up, I didn't know what to do. She said as she held my hands. I just listened in silence, unsure about what to say. I really want to tease her a bit right now, but I really shouldn't, I thought to myself. But she's so cute and fun to tease, I mentally noted. In the end I nodded my head and said, sorry. I didn't mean to scare you like that. I'm all right now. Before Hanabi could say anything else, my stomach growled. With a bit of embarrassment I also said, ahem, and hungry. At that moment Hanabi couldn't help but let out a laugh. PFFFFT. Ha 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 ha. I just stared at her with confusion and said, hey, I feel like I haven't eaten in ages. Hanabi continued to laugh. Ha ha ha. I'm ha ha sorry, it's just ha ha, I'm so happy I don't care about anything else. I don't need an apology or words of comfort. I'm just glad you're okay now. At that moment I felt my heart constrict a bit. I squeezed her hand and brought it to my lips as I kissed the back of her hand and said, I'm sorry Hanabi. I worried you. I also didn't miss the fact that her hand smelled like cinnamon. She shook her head and got off the bed as she grabbed the basket of sweets and brought it over to me. She grabbed a cookie and handed it to me. Here, she said as I took it from her. I smelled the same sweet scent of cinnamon on the cookie as I did on her smooth milky hands. You made these? I asked. Amen. She nodded and smiled. I smiled and devoured the cookie as if I never tasted food before. Hanabi just smiled as she watched and said, it's okay to slow down you know. I made plenty. And just like that, we sat in a comfortable silence as she handed me some delicious desserts to eat while I wolfed them all down. After finishing I turned to look at her and said, so, did I miss anything while I was unconscious? I guess you could say that. Apparently Sasuke killed Orochimaru. Kakashi-sensei and Yamato-sensei put together a team to go after Itachi and hoped that bringing him back would prompt Sasuke to return to the village. Hanabi said. What? I exclaimed. It's that time already. I don't have time to be lying around here. I need to ensure the safety of Itachi's body like I told him I would. Hanabi was startled at my exclamation and said, is everything okay Izaya? You don't have to worry about it since Kakashi-sensei and Yamato-sensei are the ones leading the mission with a few others, it should be all right. I shook my head and said, I gave my word to someone that I would help them out. It has to do with this so I can't remain idle here. If I don't go then things could end up getting pretty messy since I'm the only one who knows. I can't go into details but I can't remain here or I might be too late. But you just woke up. You still need to rest and regain some strength. Hanabi said with concern. I swung my body around the bed and stood up at my full height. Hanabi watched Izaya stretch as his toned and muscular body exuded strength, power, and confidence. She stood up in front of Izaya as she looked straight up at him taking note of their difference in height. She was only 159 centimeters tall while Izaya stood at 178 centimeters tall. He was nearly exactly 20 centimeters taller than her. She watched in silence as I turned to put on my clothes over my bandage wraps before turning to face her. I walked closer so I was just in front of her and leaned down to place my forehead against hers. Since I can't persuade you from going, you better promise to be safe. Don't do anything reckless. I just got you back after all. She said with a soft whisper. Amen. I replied. I placed 2 special kunai in her hands and said, take one to Lord Third and tell him that I'll be going to help out Kakashi's team. Tell him to lay down the kunai in a safe room as I'll be sending something important to him. Okay, what about the second? Hanabi asked. I smirked and said, for you. If you're ever in danger I'll come to you immediately. Before Hanabi could respond I had already disappeared. It wasn't long before Hanabi had informed Haku and Kimimaro about Izaya waking up and then leaving right after. She went to inform Lord Third of what Izaya requested of her right after. Haku and Kimimro just stood there in the hallway with a dumbfounded look before turning and looking at each other. Did Big Brother just leave without telling us? Haku asked. I think so. Kimimro replied. There was a few seconds of silence between Haku and Kimimro as they took in what Hanabi said before they both punched a wall and said at the same time, that idiot brother of ours. Why didn't he take us with him? I'm really going to give him a piece of my mind when he gets back. They both then stormed off to Lord Fifth's office. Knock knock. Hey. Who's so rude to knock on the Hokkage's door so loud? Shitsune said as her eyes narrowed in disapproval. Who is it? Tsunade shouted with an intimidating voice. At this moment Haku and Kimimro realized their mistake. They were still frustrated and angry that their big brother just up and left like that without saying anything to them first right after he regained consciousness, so they didn't control their strength properly when knocking. From the other side of the door Kimimro said, Ahem. My apologies Lord Fifth. Haku and I were a bit agitated earlier and forgot where we were for a moment. Please excuse us. Both Haku and Kimimro walked in at that moment. Hey. Haku. Kimimro. You both are like the epitome of respectfulness. You're the last ones I would have guessed to knock so loud. What is it? Tsunade asked in amusement. Ahem. Reporting. Big Brother Izaya has woken up. Haku said. What? Ahem. I mean, that's good news. I will go see how his condition is right now. Tsunade replied. Before she could get off her seat Kimimro chimed in, actually, that won't be possible. He already left to join Kakashi-sensei and Yamato-sensei on their mission to capture Itachi and Sasuke. What? Tsunade and Shitsune exclaimed in shock at the same time. That's why Maro and I were frustrated earlier. He just woke up and left without saying anything to us. Since Hanabi was the only one in the room with him, we heard about everything from her. We came to report to you right after. Haku said. Ha-ah-ah. Tsunade just let out a deep and long sigh as she placed her palm on her forehead. She then took a good look at Haku and Kimimro and said, then, there's no need for you both to remain as guards for Izaya's room. Yes. Is there something you need of us? Haku and Kimimro asked. Tsunade gave pause for a moment before continuing, yes. Kimimro, I want you to join the other Anbu that are currently searching for Danza's hidden organization route. Haku, Jiraiya is currently in the Hidden Rain village searching for clues on the leader of the Akatsuki. I'm worried about his safety. Your abilities are suitable in a place like that, so I want you to go there and back up Jiraiya. I don't know why, but I feel uneasy about Jiraiya being there alone. I trust in your abilities. Yes. Haku and Kimimro saluted. Amen. I'm counting on you both. Tsunade said. Haku and Kimimro both disappeared in the next moment. Fwish. Zwing. What the hell is that? White Zetsu asked as he watched Itachi Suzanu's blade pierce through Orochimaru's body. That's called the Sword of Totsuka, otherwise known as the Sake Cutter Longsword. It is a spirit weapon that is the counter to Orochimaru's Sword of Kusanagi. It's said that it possesses a powerful sealing technique, and all those it pierces will be sealed in a world of drunken dreams for all of eternity. Black Zetsu replied as they continued to watch Itachi and Sasuke battle. Now then Sasuke, are there any more tricks you wish to use? Itachi said as he slowly walked towards Sasuke in his bloody and tattered form. Sasuke just stared at Itachi and his Susanoo. Out of all the outcomes that Sasuke had imagined, this wasn't one of them. In fact, he never imagined that he would lose. He was so sure that he had everything under control. He wasn't that weak little boy that Itachi beat all those years ago anymore. He trained and worked so hard to get here. He even sought out Orochimaru, absorbed his power, and abandoned all the people he had begun to care about in Konoha just for the moment that he foresaw Itachi's death by his hands. So why? Why didn't anything change? Why isn't Itachi dead yet? How come he was still so powerless? As all of his attacks failed to penetrate Itachi's defenses, he simply stared with panicked eyes with his back against the wall. At this moment, as Itachi walked towards Sasuke from the distance and saw the fear and panic in Sasuke's eyes, his heart constricted. All these years he played the role of the big bad brother, but for once, at least in his final moments, he wanted to do something right for Sasuke. As Itachi slowly and carefully walked towards Sasuke, he gave a warm smile and said, "Sasuke, there are many things I wish that I had done differently now that we are to this point, cough. Mother, father, the clan, all I had ever wanted was for you to walk the right path, cough, to not be tainted by our darkness. However, after meeting with two particular individuals, I have realized that I was wrong in my choices, cough. I don't regret what I've done till now, but I do think there are some things that I could have done differently. You said that you wanted answers." Sasuke just stared at Itachi's slowly dying and walking form with confusion and fear, as he didn't know what Itachi was going on about. As Itachi struggled to remain conscious, he slowly recalled his conversation with Izaya at this moment. *flashback*. You wish for Sasuke to be the one to kill you and return to the leaf after he has fulfilled his purpose. However, what happens when he finds out the truth about you? It will most likely be Madara who tells him the truth. You loved your brother dearly. Did you not think he loved you just as much? Once he knows the truth, he may not return to the leaf, but instead turn against it. He may resent it for what it commanded you to do. What will you do? In your last moments you need to show and pass on to him everything. If he learns of this from a third party, he'll hate everyone who caused you to suffer, because he'll think that the brother he loved so much didn't have a choice. But if you are the one to tell him, he may just come to understand your ninja way and return to Konoha. You shouldn't try to do everything yourself. Show him. Pass on your will to him. Transfer your emotions of what you feel for the village and how you lived as a shinobi. Show him your ninja way. Give him all the memories and details of your plans for him. Tell him it was Danza who gave you this order. Show him that crushing the leaf would only be a dishonor to you and destroy everything that you stood for. If he truly loves you as a brother still, then after seeing all of this and feeling what you felt, he may decide to finally come to terms with his hatred. The only things you can leave him is your will, your love, your acceptance of who he is, your memories, and your power. End flashback. Itachi gave a small smile at this moment as he slowly looked at Sasuke. Both their eyes meeting one another. As Itachi continued to slowly approach Sasuke, he said, "Before we part, let me tell you everything. About the night of the massacre. About the hatred and darkness of the clan. Of the village. There's no need for me to lie anymore. Let me show you the whole truth." Before Sasuke knew it, he was seeing all of Itachi's memories as the truth was laid bare before him. Sasuke stood on the grass as he watched a young Itachi set out for the academy. Watched as Itachi contemplated what life and death meant. He watched Itachi contemplate about what a village was and what a clan was. He watched Itachi and Shisui complete missions and watched Itachi slowly begin to grow up. Soon the time arrived to that fateful day as Sasuke stood there at the edge of the cliff as he watched Itachi speak to Shisui. "You're the only person I can count on, my best friend," Shisui said to Itachi as he removed his Sharingan and handed it to him. "Please, protect this village, and the honor of the Uchiha name." Sasuke watched in the dark corner where Itachi met Danza. Whether it results in war or not, the moment a coup d'etat happens, the Uchiha will lock themselves into a fate of annihilation. Including your innocent little brother. Save your little brother before the coup d'etat and help us eliminate all other Uchiha. In all the village, the only shinobi who can be trusted with such a mission is you, a double agent of both the Uchiha and the Leaf. This will be the most painful mission for you, Itachi, Danza said. Sasuke stood in the middle of the forest as he watched Itachi and a masked man speak. "I've kept an eye on your movements. Looked into what kind of character you are and what your ideology is," Itachi said. "Then that saves me time. You already know that I bear hatred for both the Leaf and my own clan," a masked man replied. "I will help you exact revenge on the Uchiha clan, but you are not to harm the village itself," Itachi said. And finally, Sasuke stood in that dark and horrifying room where he found his mother, his father, and his elder brother. "I see. So you've aligned with the other side," Fugaku said. "Father, mother, Itachi started but was cut off by his mother. "I know Itachi," Mikoto said. "Itachi, just promise me this. Take care of Sasuke," Fugaku said. As tears streamed down Itachi's face, he gritted his teeth and clenched the blade in his hands as he said, "I will. Though our philosophies differ, I am proud of you. You are truly a kind child," Fugaku said with a hint of proudness. As Itachi finished showing Sasuke all of his memories, passing on his emotions and feelings, he finally reached Sasuke at this moment. Sasuke stood there completely stunned, unmoving and not knowing how to react. He stopped breathing at this moment as he tried to absorb everything that was just shown to him while he looked his dying older brother, Itachi, in the eyes. Tears streamed down his face. "There's nothing more to say. I have now told you the whole truth. I won't have to ever again. I see now that perhaps if I had faced you from the start, told you the truth from the beginning, perhaps you could have changed father, mother, and the rest of the clan. If I did that at the beginning, then I wouldn't have to stand before you now from above as a failure telling you all of this. So before I part from this world, I want to impart this truth to you. This will be the last time I tell you this, although I won't be able to fulfill my duties as Konoha's Uchiha Itachi one last time. I will at least be able to fulfill my duties as your older brother, one last time, in my final moments. Sasuke, don't blame the Leaf for the choices I made. You are the only one who can restore the honor of the Uchiha clan now. Don't fall into our darkness. That is my wish, please. Forgive me, Sasuke, I will always love you. This is goodbye," Itachi said with a smile as he gently placed his forehead on Sasuke's and transferred his power of Amaterasu into him before he slowly fell and collapsed unmoving on the floor. A smile gracing his lips. Dark clouds began to gather as rain poured down at this moment as if the world were weeping the loss of one Uchiha Itachi. In a forest not too far away, Kakashi, Yamato, Sakura, Sai, Kiba, Shino, Hinata, and Naruto stood frustrated as they glared at a masked Akatsuki member standing on a branch not far from them. Soon after, Zetsu popped up from the branch as the masked man turned and said, "How'd it go?" Zetsu simply replied, "It's over. Sasuke won. Uchiha Itachi is dead." Immediately everyone was stunned. The masked man simply put on an act and said, "That's unbelievable, or not? It's just as I thought." His voice changing to a much deeper and darker tone towards the end. It was also at this moment when Izaya appeared in a flash next to Yamato. This further surprised everyone. Zetsu and the masked man narrowed their eyes at my unexpected entrance. "Izaya, aren't you supposed to be in the hospital? What are you doing here?" Yamato asked. "I came to provide assistance. And to fulfill a promise to someone," I said, which further confused everyone. Zetsu elected to ignore me and said, "Sasuke is down too. What now? He might just be hanging on by a thread." I narrowed my eyes, obviously recognizing who the masked man was, and also breathed a sigh of relief in my head as I knew I didn't arrive too late. I also gave a quick glance at Black Zetsu in wariness. At this moment the masked man showed his Sharingan to everyone, prompting Kakashi and the others to become extremely shocked. He proceeded to say, "I shall continue my fight with you all another time." Before they could leave, I stepped forward and said, "I don't think so." The masked man narrowed his eyes as he replied, "Oh. And who are you exactly?" I scoffed. "And who are you? Shall I call you Toby? Or perhaps you prefer Uchiha Madara?" I said with a hint of an undertone towards the end of my sentence. This prompted Toby to have a hint of an alarm go off in his head as he furrowed his brow through his mask. "Who is this kid? Why does it seem like he knows about me? Did they get this information through Hayden?" Toby thought to himself. Everyone else stared at me in wonderment as well, trying to understand the flow of the conversation. Before anyone else could say anything, Naruto yelled, "I don't care. Where the hell is Sasuke?" Toby turned his head and said, "You don't need to worry about Sasuke. I'll make sure to take good care of him." I however fired back, "I don't think so. Your plans for Sasuke won't go the way you planned." "What do you mean?" Toby inquired warily. "Itachi has already told Sasuke the truth. Your leverage over him has waned. He'll most likely rather kill you now instead of joining you." I replied curtly. "The truth? Why would Itachi do that? You imply that you know the truth about Uchiha Itachi." Toby replied. "That's why I'm here," I replied. "If Sasuke knows the truth, then he would rather join me instead of return to Konoha with you." Toby said. "Perhaps, if he heard the truth from you first. However, Itachi was the one who showed him the truth and passed everything that he was on to Sasuke. If Sasuke truly loves his older brother, then there is no way that he would join the likes of you who helped slaughter the Uchiha clan," I said with confidence. After my words left my mouth, everyone was even more stunned and didn't know how to react. They were all confused at where this conversation was headed. The only thing they could discern was that there was likely a huge secret behind Uchiha Itachi and the Uchiha clan massacre. Another thing they didn't understand was why Izaya seemed to know about this secret. "Oh. You even know that I helped?" "Not even the Leaf higher-ups knew about me." "There is only one way you knew about me, and that is that Itachi told you himself." "I'm quite surprised about this. No wonder you know about me. I never thought he would reveal my existence to some random outsider, and even less the truth about himself," Toby replied while becoming extremely wary of me. "You've piqued my curiosity. Who exactly are you, and how did you arrive here so quickly undetected?" Toby asked. I smirked. "My name is Karasuma Izaya. I'm simply a tune-in of the Leaf Village that happens to be good at what I do. As for how I got here so quickly, perhaps you'd like to trade blows for a bout or two. Familiar with the Flying Thunder God Jutsu? Toby widened his eyes in shock. His heart rate quickened just slightly before he managed to calm himself back down. He stared a good while at me before saying, "Are you a reincarnation of the fourth Hokage?" "No, that would be impossible." I smiled and said, "Heh. You're right, I'm not." "You scared?" Toby stared at me for a long while until Zetsu broke the silence and said, "Oi, Toby. Let's go. We can't be wasting our time here." Toby let out a scoff and said, "HMPF, we'll meet again. Farewell." He then proceeded to slowly disappear. However, in that moment I also disappeared. I arrived before Itachi as he still had my special kunai hanging on his waist area. I put my hand on his body and he disappeared in the next instant as if he were never there. I turned and saw Sasuke unconscious sitting on the ground with his back leaning against the wall. I noticed the destruction around us and noted that the battle was indeed quite fierce. Just as I walked next to Sasuke, Toby and Zetsu appeared not too far from us. Toby and Zetsu were instantly shocked that I was also here and that I had made it here faster than even the both of them. Before they could say or do anything, I scoffed at them and placed my hand on Sasuke's shoulder, teleporting us away. "No!" Toby screamed but was too late. Toby and Zetsu just stood there as they stared at the spot where Itachi and Sasuke were supposed to be. "Well, that was unexpected. What now?" White Zetsu asked awkwardly. Puff. A plume of white smoke filled the air as Hiruzen just sat in his chair, staring at the special kunai laying on the floor in front of him, wondering why Izaya wanted him to put it in a secure room. What exactly is Izaya going to send me? Hiruzen mentally thought as he tried to think of all the possible things that might appear at any moment. Just as he was lost in thought, a body instantly appeared on his floor, prompting Hiruzen to immediately stand up and cough a few times from inhaling smoke too fast. He walked over to inspect the body and widened his eyes in shock. This is Uchiha Itachi," Hiruzen said in complete and utter shock. Before Hiruzen could move any closer to Itachi's body, Sasuke and I appeared in that room as well. What? Izaya-kun. Oh. And Sasuke. Hiruzen exclaimed as he clenched his heart. "You are going to give this old man a heart attack with all of these surprises, Izaya?" Hiruzen said as he took a few deep breaths to steady his mind and body. "I'm sorry, Hiruzen-sensei. It was an emergency situation. Sasuke needs medical attention right now. I suggest we ask Lord Fifth to look over his condition and have Anbu stationed around Sasuke's room as guards. As for Itachi, it'd be best to have Shitsune handle his body, but I would like to request to also be present as Shitsune performs an autopsy." I replied apologetically and quickly. Without having to say anything further, Hiruzen quickly agreed as he arranged everything. I also told Lord Third and Lord Fifth about being wary of a masked man within the Akatsuki that has the ability to use the space-time ninjutsu to travel great distances and nearly undetected, and that he may try to use that ability to abduct either Sasuke or Itachi's body. Lord Third placed powerful seals and barriers around Itachi's body per my request as I told him of my meeting and promise with Itachi. Though he was surprised when I told him that I knew the truth about Itachi, I simply told him a little white lie about finding some evidence in some of Orochimaru's lab and confronted Itachi about it when we met, allowing me to confirm the truth. Hiruzen just let out a deep sigh in shame at the fact that I now knew part of Konoha's dark history. I reassured him that I destroyed what evidence I found in those labs so as not to have such a dark part of Konoha's history leak to the outside world, to which he just let out another sigh. Of course I wouldn't tell him that there wasn't actually any evidence to begin with. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. Rain continued to fall from the sky at the sight of Itachi and Sasuke's battle as Tobi sat dejectedly on the wall where Itachi and Sasuke had fallen earlier. At this moment Kakashi and his team arrived, but immediately became extremely wary after only finding Tobi sitting there with no sign of Itachi or Sasuke. "Yo!" Tobi said dejectedly. Kakashi narrowed his eyes and said, "Where are Sasuke and Itachi?" He ha 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 ha. Tobi just laughed. Naruto gritted his teeth and shouted, "What the hell is so funny, you bastard? What did you do with Sasuke?" Tobi just continued to laugh a little while longer before calming himself down and stared at Kakashi's group. "What did I do with him? I should be the one asking you that question." Kakashi furrowed his brow. "What do you mean by that? Isn't it obvious? Where is that fellow by the name of Karasuma Izaya? Haven't you noticed that he's gone?" Tobi said. "Of course we know. But Sasuke takes precedence right now. Where is he?" Sakura said. Tobi just sighed as he turned his head up and looked at the cloudy rainy sky. "Well, I must say that Konoha sure has some capable shinobi. The first Hokage Senju Hashirama, touted as the most powerful shinobi in all of history. The fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato, touted as the fastest shinobi in all of history. Both of them were quite capable shinobi of Konoha. Konoha shinobi even managed to kill Kakuzu and capture Haiden. And to think that in this generation a child by the name of Karasuma Izaya would be able to master the fourth Hokage's flying thunder god jutsu and beat me to both Itachi and Sasuke. What?" everyone exclaimed in shock. "Then, does that mean that Izaya was able to get to Sasuke first?" Naruto asked in shock and hope. "Sasuke is safe then?" Sakura asked. "Is that true? But how? In order for Izaya to fly to this location means he either had to have a marker around here or he had marked either Itachi or Sasuke. When did he manage that? He did mention before that he met Itachi. Was it then? There's too many unanswered questions, but the fact remains that Izaya was able to get to them first. That means Sasuke is most likely in Konoha already." Kakashi thought to himself. Tobi just waited for all of them to take in what he said for a moment before saying with interest, "Tell me. What kind of person is this Karasuma Izaya? He's quite the capable shinobi. He was able to discern the truth about Itachi, gain his trust, convinced Itachi to tell him the truth about me, prepare countermeasures, and even beat me in a game of speed. This puts a bit of a damper on my plans. There's nothing else that needs to be said about Izaya. He's a leaf shinobi and one of our comrades." Kakashi replied as he stared at Tobi with caution. "Ha ha ha. Very well. I see. Then I suppose there's nothing left for us to discuss. Farewell." Tobi said as he disappeared into thin air. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief as they just gained the knowledge that Sasuke was most likely safe and with Izaya. After letting everyone take a moment to rest, Kakashi turned to them and said, "Let's return to Konoha." "Amen." Everyone nodded in agreement and in high spirits. Crash. Thud. Boom. "What's going on out there?" Tsunade and Shitsune said at the same time in alarm. They both rushed out the Hokage's office door and turned to the hallway only to be completely stunned, shocked, and horrified, no words could describe how Tsunade felt at this very moment. There, lying in the hallway of the Hokage's building, was a worn and tattered Haku as he panted and struggled to remain conscious, all the while holding on to the bloody body of one of the legendary Sannin. Jiraiya. Flashback to a few days ago. As Haku stood in Tsunade's office after Izaya recovered, Tsunade gave her orders. Haku. Jiraiya is currently in the Hidden Rain village searching for clues on the leader of the Akatsuki. I'm worried about his safety. Your abilities are suitable in a place like that, so I want you to go there and back up Jiraiya. I don't know why, but I feel uneasy about Jiraiya being there alone. I trust in your abilities. Yes. Haku saluted. Amen. I'm counting on you. Tsunade said. Haku disappeared in the next moment. Swish. Dash. Splash. Haku placed on a cloak as he had successfully infiltrated the Hidden Rain village and was now searching for clues on Jiraiya's whereabouts. He used the transformation jutsu to look much older and walked into a pub, taking a seat in the corner as he ordered something to eat and listened to the conversation going around. He spent about an hour in a few pubs before giving up and decided to go to where Jiraiya would most likely go. Although he really didn't want to, it was for a mission after all, so Haku undid the transformation jutsu as he resumed his astonishingly handsome self once more. As he walked by the red light district and entered some of their buildings, he eventually got the information he was looking for. Jiraiya had been asking around about Hanzo of the Salamander and also learned about the civil war being ended in the Hidden Rain village. He then began asking questions about the possibility of meeting this so-called leader who was very mysterious. It wasn't long before Haku discovered a place that was left in tatters and ruins and immediately guessed what had happened. TSK. This doesn't look good. It seems Lord Jiraiya was caught up in a battle. I need to hurry. He dashed off as he searched for any clues he could find and followed the flow of the battle from the marks and scars left behind. Schlick. Haku was immediately alarmed at this sound. He had followed the scars of the battle all the way to this remote location on the side of a large tall building by open water when he heard a loud noise that sounded like the stabbing of flesh. He had a bad premonition as his heart rate sped up. Swish. Haku jumped as far as he could as he just turned the corner to make it to where he heard the sound of what seemed like a battle. His eyes widened in that moment as he saw a bloody Jiraiya lying on a broken fragment of rock with black rods sticking out his back and writing on the back of a small old frog. Just as Jiraiya had finished writing, Haku had also utilized the hidden mist jutsu and used his incredible speed and agility to dash towards Jiraiya. At the same time, 5 figures clad in the Akatsuki's clothing also jumped down towards Jiraiya. As those 5 Akatsuki members were still airborne, a dense thick mist obscured their vision, causing them to widen their eyes in shock. Was there someone else in the shadows? Because I stopped my rain jutsu, I didn't detect any other foreign shinobi enter the country, Pain thought. Haku grabbed Jiraiya's body and dashed into the water below. Before he could do anything else, however, one of the Pains said, "Almighty push." The area in the surroundings, including the water below and mist in the air, were pushed away by a powerful force. Not only was the thick mist dispersed, but Haku holding Jiraiya was also pushed across the water and rolled a few times before being able to stabilize himself on top of the surface. At this moment a cold and powerful frost condensed around Haku as an icy mirror image of himself appeared beside him. The ice clone grabbed Jiraiya's body and dashed away as Haku stood across the water a fair distance away from the 5 Pains. Let me guess. One of you is the leader of the Akatsuki. Haku said with an incredibly serious face. The Deva Pain stood forth and said, I recognize you. You are a shinobi of Konoha. The one who defeated Kakuzu. Your skills are quite impressive. Not only did you manage to slip into the country unnoticed, you even hid your presence as you approached and even used a concealing technique to obscure our vision before reclaiming Jiraiya-sensei's body. Haku couldn't help but have a bad premonition. He never felt such a sense of danger before when facing an enemy. You seem to know quite a lot about me. I reckon you won't just let me go. Haku said, not taking his eyes off of the 5 pains. Even though you used a clone to carry Jiraiya-sensei's body away, it does not matter. He is already dead. You shall join him shortly. Deva Pain said indifferently. He said Jiraiya-sensei. Does this mean this is a student of Jiraiya's? And why do they all have the same eyes? Don't tell me. Haku suddenly recalled one of his various lessons that Izaya taught him when they were kids. *flashback*. Big brother, so you're saying that your Sharingan is one of the 3 great dojutsus? Then what are the other 2? Haku inquired. That's right, Haku. My Sharingan is one of the 3 great dojutsus. The other 2 are the Bakugan, which is distinguishable by their completely white eyes, and the Rinnegan, which is distinguishable by its circular ringing pattern. Out of all 3, the Rinnegan is the most rare and is considered a legendary existence. Listen, Haku. If one day you come face to face with a user of the Rinnegan who is hostile to you, if you do not possess sufficient strength, then you run immediately. Use every ability you can think of to escape. Don't try to fight or it won't end well. According to legends and rumors, the Rinnegan grants the user some pretty unique abilities that are super powerful, like manipulating gravity or even absorbing ninjutsu. Oi, are you listening to me? Izaya said as he looked on helplessly at a starry-eyed Haku. Big brother, I'm listening. You know so much, I was just admiring how great my big brother is. Haku replied. Izaya just sighed and said, all right. Enough lecturing. Want to help me figure out what abilities my main Geku Sharingan has? MN. Haku replied. End of flashback. So the leader of the Akatsuki possesses the legendary Rinnegan that Big Brother told me about. On top of that, there are 5 of them. Looks like I can only try to create a moment of opportunity to escape. By the looks of it, he isn't too interested in chasing Lord Jiraiya anymore, but rather fixated on me. Lord Jiraiya, please forgive me, I'm sorry that I couldn't make it in time, I was useless. No matter what, I will not fail to return your body. Haku silently lamented to himself. Cling. Haku noticed that one of the pains, the Asura pain, turned into some sort of mechanized human weapon. What kind of jutsu is that? Big Brother was right when he said that the Rinnegan gives some very unique abilities. Whoosh! 4 missiles shot out towards Haku as Haku quickly jumped back and threw 4 needles with paper bombs attached at the missiles. They exploded in the air as they collided. At this moment a pain appeared by Haku's right side and threw a punch, but Haku used his superior agility to duck down and jump back. However, the Deva Pain stuck out his hand and said, "Universal pull." Haku was immediately pulled back towards the other pains. Before Haku could react, the Asura pain brought out a giant saw and sliced Haku's body in half, only for it to turn into water. Oh! Water clone. To be able to use a water clone from right under our noses. Impressive. No wonder Kakuzu lost. He used it when he ducked down to dodge one of the pain's punches. He used that ducking motion to not only dodge but to splash up water and hide his hand sign for the water clone. Deva Pain analyzed. He then jumped over the water and said, "Almighty push." The powerful gravitational push caused the water to part, revealing Haku's retreating form in the distance. "Shit, he found me out already." Haku formed the signs of bird, snake, ram and said, "Ice-style freezing mist jutsu." The surrounding area fogged up again as the temperature decreased astronomically and froze the surrounding water and moisture in the area. Haku then formed the signs of snake, dragon, hare, bird and said, "Ice-style mirror array clone jutsu." The ice in the surrounding area condensed into icy reflections of Haku's image. It appeared as if thousands upon thousands of Hakus were running through the water. Just as Pain absorbed all the icy mist in the air that obscured their vision, they saw a bunch of Hakus that was indistinguishable from the original. "Oh! He obscured our vision first and condensed cold frost in the air, then used a jutsu that reflected his image through the icy crystals he created in the atmosphere and the surrounding water. It is similar to the clone jutsu but on a much wider scale and is more effective at confusion tactics. It also does not consume a lot of chakra as it doesn't create actual physical clones. It is closer to that of a genjutsu than ninjutsu. But it still won't be enough." Almighty push. Deva Pain analyzed, praised, and said. An instant later and all the clone Hakus were destroyed. Where is the real one?" Pain said as they all looked around but couldn't find him. At this moment Haku was deep underwater riding on the water dragon jutsu he activated after successfully faking out the pains with his icy fog and icy mirror clones. Thanks to the speed of his water dragon jutsu he had finally caught up with his ice clone carrying Jiraiya's body. Just as he was about to release his clone and grab Jiraiya's body he felt a dangerous sensation behind him, so he quickly formed the tiger hand sign and said, "Ice-style crystal wall jutsu." A strong icy wall blocked a barrage of paper shuriken aimed at him and Jiraiya. Noticing things weren't in his favor he formed the tiger sign once more and said, "Ice-style 10,000 ice petals jutsu." Thousands upon thousands of sharp icy shards rose up from the water in the area and shot forth at Kanon and her paper shuriken with great speeds. Ting 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 ting. Each paper shuriken met an ice shard as they cancelled one another's techniques. Haku commanded his ice clone to dash off with Jiraiya once more as he held off Kanon while running away himself, unsure of when the other pains might arrive. Kanon switched to using paper bombs instead of regular paper in this moment, causing all the ice shards that came into contact with her paper to explode, creating a cloud of icy mist at the same time. Haku smirked and formed the sign of Ram saying, "Ice-style freezing liquid jutsu." The cloud of icy mist began to liquefy as Haku formed the sign of tiger and said, "Ice-style 10,000 ice petals jutsu." Another bout of icy shards shot out from the water and became coated in the liquefied icy cloud in the air as they made contact with Kanon's paper bombs. Kanon widened her eyes in shock as for some reason the explosion became even more ferocious. The range of the explosion increased exponentially and blasted her off a far distance away as she tumbled through the air and rolled herself in an attempt to reduce the force pushing her body away. When she looked back at where Haku was supposed to be, he had already disappeared. She turned back to look at the area of explosion in deep contemplation. "I see." He transformed that cloud of icy mist into liquid nitrogen and coated his ice shards with it. When they came into contact with my paper bombs, the heat of the explosion caused the gas cloud created to exponentially expand, creating a terrifying force that blew me off balance and far away. He then used that chance to erase his presence and escape. How clever! Pain was right. Konoha's shinobi are quite skilled. Fwish. At this moment the 5 paths of Pain arrived. Did he escape? Pain asked. He did. Kanan replied. HMPF. Impressive. He has quite the skills for one so young. Pain commented. It appears that Jiraiya-sensei has successfully abducted one of your bodies. Kanan said. Yes. Jiraiya-sensei was quite something. If he had known about the truth of Pain from the start, we would not have defeated him. I will have to replace the body he stole with another. Pain replied. And about the one who escaped with Jiraiya-sensei's body? Kanan asked. Forget it. It doesn't matter. Jiraiya-sensei is dead now. While that shinobi did have formidable skills, he is no match for us. I need to prepare before grabbing the 9 tails. Did you find anyone else noteworthy to recruit in the Akatsuki? Pain asked. Yes. He is one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist, known as the Demon of the Hidden Mist, Momokai Zabuza. Kanan replied. I see. Since Itachi is now dead, have Zabuza and Kai's pair up and go after the 8 tails. Pain said as he walked off. End of flashback. Huff. 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 I'm sorry Lord Hokage, huff. I didn't make it in time. Huff. Huff. I couldn't save Lord Jiraiya. Huff. I could, huff, only bring back, huff. His body. Haku said out of breath as he finally lost consciousness, completely weary from the escape and non-stop running. Beep. 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 Once again the sound of a monitor was heard. I sighed as I sat by Haku's hospital bed waiting for him to awaken. Kimimaro also stood by me. Haku had returned with Jiraiya's body just 2 days after I retrieved Itachi and Sasuke. I was so focused on Itachi and Sasuke I didn't even have time to consider that Jiraiya might have already left for the Hidden Rain village, I lamented. I looked down at Haku's recovering body and breathed out a sigh of relief. I'm just glad that Haku only expended lots of stamina and chakra and didn't really get hurt when he faced Pain. I then looked at the other side of the curtains where another bed was laid out with Sasuke lying on top, also unconscious. Seems Sasuke hasn't woken yet. I suppose hearing the truth about Itachi from Itachi himself put more stress on him this time. Now I wonder how he'll digest everything Itachi left him. He probably awakened his Mangekyou Sharingan after learning the truth before he passed out at their battle site. I turned to Kimimaro. Maro, did you find anything about Danza and where his hidden route? I asked. Kimimaro shook his head before replying, yes and no. The other Anbus and myself found where they were stationed originally. They have long since left. I reckon after their failure at assassinating you they moved their location so as not to be discovered. Things didn't go as Danza had planned, so I'm not sure what he's going to do now or where he disappeared to. Lord Fifth and Lord Third had finally managed to convince the other elders to impeach Danza's position as an elder of the Leaf. Now Lord Fifth and Lord Third can openly move against him without causing any political strife. Honestly, I'm not sure what Danza had imagined to happen. He was too confident and egotistical. He truly thought that he was irreplaceable and became extremely self-centered. I wonder what else he had prepared before he attempted your assassination. Well, at least the problem of him holding any official power in Konoha is gone. Let's not bother with Danza for the time being. The problem that's fast approaching is the Akatsuki. Jiraiya died in battle against the leader and Haku barely escaped. My guess is that it won't be long before he decides to strike, now that his base of operations has been exposed. I said. I noticed Kimimro's frustrated and angry look, so I said, "You look angry, did something happen?" Kimimro glared at me and said, "You know, Haku and I still haven't forgiven you for just taking off like that without saying a word to us right after you awoke from your injuries." Ha, ha ha, I'm sorry," I said apologetically. It was at this moment that a frustrated, sad, and angry-looking Naruto walked in. Undoubtedly due to Jiraiya's death. He's probably conflicted on how to feel, since he's happy that Sasuke was retrieved but angry and sad at Jiraiya's death. Everyone else who went on the mission to capture Itachi and Sasuke walked in as well. They were Sakura, Sai, Hinata, Kiba, Shino, Kakashi, and Yamato. Hiruzen and Tsunade were also present. They all followed behind Naruto as we all crammed inside the hospital room where Sasuke and Haku were. At this moment Haku regained consciousness. Where am I?" Haku said, a little disoriented. "Haku. Take it easy. You're in the hospital right now," I replied. Big brother. Big brother, I wasn't fast enough. I'm sorry, I couldn't save Lord Jiraiya," Haku said with a downcast expression. Everyone in the room had a gloomy look on their faces. I just held on to Haku's shoulder in assurance and gave him a soft and comforting smile. "Haku. Look at me," I said. Haku slowly turned his head with a defeated look on it at me. "Haku. It's not your fault. We heard about everything from one of the Toad Elders of Mount Myoboku, Fukasaku. Pain was just too strong. You did great bringing back Jiraiya's body, but the most important thing is that you returned alive," I said. "Amen." Haku merely nodded in a soft whisper. Sasuke said as he also awoke at this moment. Everyone turned over to look at him. Naruto and Sakura being extremely nervous about how Sasuke would react to finally being back and Itachi finally being dead. Before Naruto or Sakura could rush over to him, Kakashi placed his hand on their shoulders to hold them back to give Sasuke a moment to take everything in. Sasuke looked up at all of us with a complicated emotion in his eyes. He once again recalled everything that Itachi had told him and shown him in his memories. All the pain his brother felt. All the joy his brother had for the village. All the questions and missions and choices and thoughts, everything. Everything that his elder brother had left him. What is a clan? What is a village? What are bonds? What is life? What is death? What is war? What is joy? What is hatred? What is love? He contemplated why Itachi made the choices he did. What Itachi wished for. He contemplated the darkness of the clan. The darkness of the village. Sasuke then recalled the own bonds and friendships he forged with Team 7. He recalled Izaya, Haku, Kimimro and the time they spent breezing through the academy together. He recalled the missions he took up with Team 7. He recalled his rivalry with Naruto. He recalled Sakura's unyielding display of affection. He recalled his training under Kakashi and the Chunin exams with everyone else. He recalled the joy of his clan and also their deaths. He recalled his mother and father and Itachi and the choices they all made. He recalled the final words of his brother, "Although I won't be able to fulfill my duties as Konoha's Uchiha Itachi one last time, I will at least be able to fulfill my duties as your older brother, one last time, in my final moments, Sasuke." Don't blame the leaf for the choices I made. You are the only one who can restore the honor of the Uchiha clan now. Don't fall into our darkness. That is my wish. Please forgive me, Sasuke. I will always love you. This is goodbye. In the end, Sasuke slowly closed his eyes and took a deep breath. And finally, two images appeared in his mind. A masked man who helped Itachi slaughter the clan and Shimura Danza who gave Itachi the order. Rage welled up inside of him as he elected to kill those two bastards. One helped slaughter the clan out of his own personal spite and the other gave such a painful order to his older brother just because he was a scared shitless dirtbag. Sasuke opened his eyes at this moment, revealing his newly awakened Mangekyou Sharingan as tears streamed down his face. At this moment Kakashi finally let go of Sakura and Naruto as they both slowly walked over to Sasuke. Sakura put her arms around him, embracing him in a tight hug, whilst Naruto just stood to the side awkwardly with a goofy smile on his face. Kakashi could see the hint of anger and desire to kill in Sasuke's eyes but couldn't quite pinpoint who it was directed towards. After a few more minutes of their reunion, Sasuke wiped away his tears and said with a dark tone, "Where is Danza?" Kakashi narrowed his eyes a bit and said, "Why do you want to know where Danza is?" Sasuke clenched his fists and said, "I'm going to kill him. After everything he put my brother through." Everyone but Hiruzen and I had a surprised expression. Many of them turned towards me with a questioning gaze as they recalled my conversation with Toby in the forest. "I see. Then I guess you can help us out," Kakashi replied. Sasuke was a bit startled that Kakashi agreed so readily at his statement to kill Danza. "What do you mean? I expected more resistance from you as he is an elder of the leaf," Sasuke said. Kakashi let out a sigh and said, "Danza has been removed from his position as an elder of the leaf. He has attempted to assassinate Izaya on multiple occasions already and nearly succeeded. He's not listed in the bingo book or anything, but this is a matter that we're all looking into. Danza has fled the village after his failure to kill Izaya and we're searching for him. Dead or alive, however alive is more preferable as there are secrets and answers we wish to learn from him." Sasuke widened his eyes at this turn of events. "Well then, that's fine with me. It's all the better if there isn't any resistance from Konoha. TSK, then there's also Sujitsu, Jugo, Karen. I still have to find them. They were waiting to make sure no one interrupted my fight with Itachi, but now where are they? I also don't know how I really feel about Konoha yet." Sasuke turned to look at everyone and said, "Aside from me, did you guys bring back anyone else?" "I'm sorry. I wasn't able to bring back anyone else," I said. Sasuke turned to me and said, "You were the one to bring me back." I nodded and replied, "I was. I recovered your brother's body as well." Sasuke widened his eyes in surprise again and felt his heart constrict a bit. Why did older brother have to suffer the fate of the clan by himself?" Sasuke said almost inaudibly. Kakashi turned to me and said, "Izaya, before in the forest when you were speaking to that masked man called Toby. But it also seemed like you called him Madara. What exactly was going on? It sounded like you knew some sort of secret about Itachi." Hiruzen was also surprised. Madara. And it sounds like Sasuke knows the truth now too. I suppose there isn't a point in lying and keeping it a secret anymore, Hiruzen silently thought and let out a sigh. Everyone turned to look at me for an explanation while Sasuke said, "You knew about my older brother?" I took a momentary pause before answering, "Yes. I knew. I once met your brother a while back. After speaking with one another we came to a mutual understanding. At first he didn't wish to tell you the truth. He had hoped that after you avenged the clan to uphold their honor you would return to the Leaf proudly. However, after the two of us spoke he decided that he would have more faith in you, his younger brother that he loved. He decided to believe in your strength and your character. He decided that perhaps you could handle the truth and that you would be able to decide your own choices. Walk your own path. And on that path that you forged yourself, perhaps you may find the happiness that he wished for you. Sasuke just listened in silence as he lowered his head with a look of incredible loss again. Perhaps I need some time alone away from the village to better come to terms with everything. To find out who I am, what I should do, and how I should feel. Sasuke thought to himself. Everyone just continued to give Sasuke and I a confused expression as they still didn't understand anything since no one was elaborating on what this secret of Itachi's was. Naruto finally couldn't stand it and said, "Well, what the heck is going on? What is the secret behind Itachi?" Hiruzen let out a sigh and said, "Itachi, since Sasuke is the last surviving member of the Uchiha clan and the one Itachi has passed on his will to, depending on what Sasuke decides, that will determine whether or not the truth of Itachi will be revealed." Sasuke looked at Hiruzen for a moment before saying, "I need time to figure out how I feel about all of this. Until I decide how I feel and figure out what I need to do, don't tell anyone about Itachi." That was his wish. Whether I will honor that wish or not will be decided when I can sort out my thoughts. Amen. Very well. I understand that this may hold no meaning for you, Sasuke. But I am sorry that I could not manage the situation better. I had failed. This village and myself owe Itachi a great many things. The only thing I can do now is to offer you anything you need when you need it. Don't hesitate to come to me," Hiruzen said in a sad tone. Since it seemed that the secret of Itachi wasn't going to be revealed to them anytime soon, Tsunade finally said, "What did Kakashi mean when he said you called this masked man Madara?" I gave a silent and thoughtful look before saying, "When I met Itachi, he told me of a member within the Akatsuki who wore a mask. He said that it was Uchiha Madara. Whether this is true or not remains to be seen. Obviously it doesn't make sense that Madara would still be alive, but I suppose it doesn't hurt to be extra cautious." Hiruzen, Tsunade, Kakashi, and Yamato were extremely shocked at the possibility of Madara still being alive, but reined in their emotions soon after. Madara, HM. If it truly is Madara, then the world may be in grave danger. Hiruzen commented. TSK. Uchiha Madara. The Akatsuki. It may be time that we convene a 5-Kage summit meeting. We also need to discuss Pain. Jiraiya risked his life to gain information on him and even stole one of Pain's bodies. Shitsune is performing an autopsy on it and the coding team is deciphering Jiraiya's secret message. Fukasaku has told us Pain's abilities and about his past connection to Jiraiya. Haku, you also met Pain. Is there anything you'd like to tell us? Any additional information will be helpful. Tsunade said. Haku nodded his head, yes. When I encountered Pain there were only 5 of them. From what you just said, it seems that Lord Jiraiya had already successfully abducted one of his bodies before I arrived. One of them had the ability to mechanize himself and another had the power of strong gravitational pushing and pulling. There was even one who had the power to absorb ninjutsu. I didn't have much time to fight and figure out more of their abilities as I elected to escape with Lord Jiraiya's body. As I was escaping there was a woman who used some form of chakra-enhanced papers to attack me and infused them with paper bombs as well. Other than that, I don't know much else about pain. Now that we know where the base of the Akatsuki is, it means this leader Pain is going to make a move against us sometime soon. We need to prepare. Unfortunately, the Akatsuki member Hayden that was captured didn't know much. He probably wasn't very trustworthy, or he talked too much. Does anyone have any suggestions? Tsunade said. Fukasaku has told me to go train with him in Mount Myoboku to learn Sage Mode. I will learn how to use Sage Mode as fast as I can to get stronger and fight Pain. Naruto said with determination. I met with Pain once already and know I'm not his match. I'm going to ask Maju to help me train to get stronger as well, so I have a chance to be of some help when the time comes. Haku said. Okay. Then I have a suggestion. Haku says that Pain has a powerful ability to repel and attract objects. If Pain arrives in Konoha, we should utilize the 4 Red Yang formation barrier to trap him inside. This will help reduce the potential damage inflicted on Konoha. I said. That requires at least 4 Hokage class Shinobi to activate. Aside from Lord 5th and Lord 3rd, who else will be able to help activate such a technique? Yamato commented. Well, it isn't certain that we will use this barrier, but this should be considered as a possible course of action just in case. And one only needs to have enough chakra with a good understanding of the barrier. Kakashi, I believe you should be able to help with this, no? Hiruzen said. Yes. I could, but my chakra reserves aren't as great as you or Lord 5th's. I'm afraid I'll be greatly drained after utilizing this technique and won't be much help in an actual battle. Kakashi replied. Then, let Kimimaro and I help. I've learned about this barrier from Hiruzen sensei. Also, I have about 6 to 7 times more chakra than Kakashi sensei. Kimimaro also has about 6 times more chakra than Kakashi sensei. If Kimimaro joins Kakashi sensei in performing the barrier, then it shouldn't be a problem. Also, we only need to use this technique if we sense that Pain is going to do something drastic. To keep the technique activated continuously would drain even Kimimaro and I said as I also turned to Sasuke at this moment. I don't know what you'll decide yet, Sasuke, but your chakra reserves should also be about 5 times that of Kakashi sensei. If you decide to help against Pain, it's possible for you to help activate the barrier as well. Sasuke remained silent but didn't outright reject. I took out some of my special kunai and handed it to Tsunade and Kakashi as I said, hold on to these. If we do need to activate the barrier or if you need assistance, I can make it to your destination immediately. Amen. Very well. I'll draw up a safe passage route for the villagers to take if Pain does attack. Tsunade said. After finishing our discussion, the only ones left in the room were Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, Haku, Kimimaro, and I. Big brother, Maro, I'm going to go summon Maju now and train under him for a bit. I'll try to return as fast as I can. Haku said. We both nodded as Haku left with Kimimaro following suit. Sasuke. Come find me later when you're ready to talk. There are some things that I want to inform you of. I said before leaving the room and going around the village setting up my special kunai in strategic points. Kakashi turned to Sasuke and said with a light smile, Sasuke. I'm glad that you're back. I need to go prepare just in case a battle does break out. Come find me if you need anything. He then disappeared in a puff of white smoke, leaving only Naruto and Sakura with Sasuke. Tap. 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 Haku walked around the gigantic hall of the underwater palace known as Ryugajo. He stopped and stood before three creatures. One was a giant catfish called Namaju. One was a giant terrifying-looking shark with a long tail and heavy spikes on the end. It was half the size of Namaju, which was still incredibly large, and it was a deep blue color with a white underbelly and many fins. The deadly narrow-looking eyes and razor-sharp teeth instilled fear to all that saw it. Its name was Izaya. The last was actually quite inconspicuous. Haku had to look twice to make sure that he wasn't seeing things. The last of the three guardians of the Ryugajo Palace was a small and cute-looking little orange octopus with big cute round eyes and was no larger than the palm of his hands. Its name was Koromodako. Maju informed Haku that none of the three guardians cared for formalities, so Haku elected to call Namaju as Maju, Izaya as Nade, and Koromodako as Dako. Haku praised himself mentally as he thought, I have a knack for giving nicknames. As he stared a bit longer at Dako, Maju chimed in, Oi, kid. Don't be fooled by Dako. He may look as small as your palm, but the truth is he can grow to a size large enough to swallow even me. Haku immediately exclaimed in shock. This little guy can grow as big to swallow Maju. Maju, who is at least 25 meters tall and 40 meters long. Ha 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 ha. That's right. Fear me, little human brat. Know of my awesome prowess. Dako said in a small cute little voice. Don't be fooled by his voice either. He may sound cute now, but when he expands his body to a large form he sounds like the devil. Nade said in a deep and dark voice that sounded incredibly scary. Haku nodded as he mentally thought, but Nade sounds like the devil right now. And when he opens his mouth, the bloody red inside and sharp razor teeth makes me shiver. All right, enough banter. The kid is here to train and become stronger. Kid, tell me, have you ever heard of Sage Mode? Maju asked. Isn't Sage Mode what Naruto is going to go learn right now at Mount Myoboku? And it is also the technique of Lord Jiraiya. Haku stared Maju in the eyes as he said, yes. I have heard of Sage Mode. Sage Mode is the ability to sense, absorb, and assimilate the natural energy of the world into your body to grant you extra strength. Strength that your body normally does not have. It is a different type of energy and is more pure than your own chakra. While there are many different types of Sage Mode depending on where you're learning from, what I just explained is the most basic application of it. We'll start by training you how to use basic Sage Mode, but that isn't our final goal. Maju said. It's not. Then what is the final goal? Haku asked. Ha 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 ha. The end goal is to teach you how to activate Heavenly Sage Mode. Maju laughed and answered seriously. Heavenly Sage Mode. What is that? Haku asked. Well, it is a technique taught to us by the great ocean dragon sage. The ruler of the Ryugajo Palace. Heavenly Ocean Sage Oya Tatsumi is his official name and title. He knows much more than we do, but he currently doesn't wish to interfere with these matters at the moment and has also given us the go-ahead to teach you. Dako replied. If Sage Mode is the power to absorb and apply the natural energy in the world around you, then Heavenly Sage Mode is the power to absorb and apply the energy of the heavens. Nade informed. The energy of the heavens. Haku was even more confused now. Well, forget about it for right now, kid. There's no use explaining to you about heavenly energy when you haven't even learned how to absorb worldly energy as a normal sage. We'll work on that first. Are you ready to begin? Maju asked. MN. All right. Haku nodded. Knock knock. You may enter. Hanabi said as she opened her eyes, finishing her meditation. Ahem. Excuse me. Hayashi said as he opened the door and walked inside. Father. Hanabi said indifferently. Hayashi just rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly before saying, Might I have a seat, Hanabi? Yes. Hanabi said, keeping her words short. Hayashi just let out a sigh as he thought, she's holding a grudge over the Izaya matter, isn't she? Ahem ahem. Hanabi. I wanted to apologize about yelling at you before. Hayashi started. And? Hanabi said. Ahem. And, I think that as the next in line for the head of the Hyuga clan, you have done your part splendidly. Hayashi continued. Go on. Hanabi said. Hayashi sighed inwardly. She's really going to make me say it. I can't believe I was momentarily swayed by Danza. Ahem. It should be fine if you wish to remain friends with that Izaya boy. Hayashi said. Hanabi narrowed her eyes and said, Father. Are you getting sick? You've been coughing a lot. Or maybe there is a word caught in your throat that you need to let out. Sigh. She's definitely my daughter. Stern and strong-willed, Hayashi thought. All right. Your father admits his mistake. I was wrong to yell at you like that and force you to stay away from that boy. I was momentarily swayed by Danza. It's just that you are the next in line for the clan head position and there is no one else to inherit this title after you. I just wanted to be extra cautious and protect you. You know that in the past the village hidden in the clouds have attempted on multiple occasions to steal the eyes of the Bakugan from our clan. I just thought that what if, maybe this Izaya boy was getting close to you for a similar reason. Hanabi still had a stern expression on her face as she said, So do you apologize for wrongly accusing me of my choices? Sigh. Yes, I apologize. And you give me your word that you won't interfere in the matters between Izaya and I? Hanabi asked with a raised eyebrow. Just as Hayashi was about to answer, he stopped himself and thought about Hanabi's phrasing of the question and said, what do you mean by matters, Hanabi? Hanabi's stern expression turned into a playful and forgiving one as she jumped in her father's arms and said, nothing, father. You have apologized and admitted you were wrong. You have also given your consent to let me continue meeting with Izaya. There's no need to worry about anything else. After all, you should be more concerned about whether I forgive you or not. She gave Hayashi a kiss on the cheek before walking out happily. I feel like I've fallen into a trap of hers. Hayashi thought amusedly. Oi. Hanabi, we have to meet the Take-Tori clan for political reasons. Pack your things. We're leaving tomorrow morning. Hayashi said as he chased after her. Fwish. Sasuke jumped on top of the fourth Hokage's rock face on the side of the cliff as he slowly walked over to where Izaya was sitting. What is it that you wanted to tell me? Sasuke asked. Have you gone to see Itachi's body yet? I asked. Sasuke furrowed his brow and said with a hint of anger, I have. I think you owe me an explanation. Why are there so many seals and barriers placed around his body? I paused for a moment before saying, to prevent the masked Akatsuki member from obtaining his body. What do you mean by that? Sasuke asked. Meeting with Itachi allowed me to learn about some secrets of the Sharingan. Surely at some point when you met Itachi he also told you about the potential of the Sharingan's ability to evolve. I said. Sasuke was a bit surprised and said, so it's true then. the Mangekyou Sharingan can evolve further. I nodded my head and replied, yes. It's true. When one uses the Mangekyou Sharingan, without the great vitality of Hashirama Senju's cells, one will begin to go blind. To overcome this, either fill your body with Hashirama's cells or implant the Sharingan of a close blood relative. Usually a sibling. I'm not too keen whether implanting the eyes of someone like those of a father or mother's eye would work. I reckon it might, but just that the possibility of it succeeding would be much lower. Using the eyes of a sibling, however, would definitely work. When I met Itachi, other than his will and hopes and dreams for you, he also hoped to pass on to you his powers to help you on your path. Sasuke stood in silence and complete stillness as he just listened. He then said, Itachi transferred his power of Amaterasu to me. I nodded my head and said, Amen. However, when I spoke with him I had promised him to keep his body safe and he agreed. There are two main reasons for this. The first, to ensure that the masked Akatsuki member doesn't use Itachi's body as a way to hold leverage over you, and second, so that you can transplant Itachi's eyes into your own, evolving them into the eternal Mangekyou Sharingan. In this way you can use the powers of your eyes without having the side effect of going blind. You don't have to decide on this now, but I just wanted you to be aware of this, and that if and when you are ready, the transplantation can happen at any time. Sasuke stared at my back for a while before saying, so Big Brother asked you to, I'll think about it later. I decided that I'll stick around the village for a bit longer. If this pain guy attacks then I'll help out the village. After everything Itachi sacrificed his life for, I won't let some guy just waltz in here and ruin everything. If he doesn't show up within the next week, however, then I'm leaving to find Danza. I'm going to find him and kill him. And that masked Akatsuki guy is on my list as well. I'm curious though. What was your relationship with my brother? Why did he tell you so much? I listened to Sasuke speak his mind before answering. I worked as an Anbu for Lord Third for a while after becoming a Chunin. As an Anbu you work in the shadows and gather information. I found out a lot after researching Danza. As crafty as he is, there's no way he never makes a mistake. You may or may not know this, but Danza has a secretly transplanted arm with Sharingan embedded on them. Where do you surmise he obtained so many Sharingan? How do you think he was able to pull that off? It was of course Orochimaru who helped him. Danza's mistake was enlisting the help of Orochimaru. Danza might be more careful with keeping such important records hidden, but Orochimaru has many labs in many lands. In my years as Anbu I had obviously searched for the different places Orochimaru might be in. Search enough of them and piece together enough information and it's not hard to come to the truth. No matter how one tries to cover up evidence, there is always a string attached to the origin. One only has to put in a lot of effort to find it, and maybe have a little luck as well. I confronted your brother about the truth. He didn't wish for me to tell anyone, so I agreed. After that your brother and I had come to an understanding. This brings me to the last thing I wanted to discuss with you about. Let me help you out a bit. Danza came after my life, so I'm obviously not going to just let him off. I'll help you find him. If you want the honors, then you can be the one to kill him. Sasuke remained silent for a moment, contemplating what I said before he replied a bit suspiciously, I see. Even though I was with Orochimaru for quite some time, I never found such evidence. Were you actively searching for his many other bases of operations? I asked. No. Sasuke replied. I did say I searched for many. And I reckon that since Orochimaru wanted to originally take over your body, him leading you to a place with a bunch of information on his experiments with the Sharingan would be one of the last places he'd take you. I replied. I suppose. Sasuke said in silent contemplation. Anyways, I reckon after Danza you also want to look for your companions. I asked, attempting to steer the conversation away from how I knew so much. A little white lie with a little bit of truth wouldn't hurt anyone. Hopefully, I mentally said to myself. I brought them out with me from Orochimaru's lab, so I should be responsible for them as well. This journey of mine will also help me sort out my thoughts about Itachi, the village, and the clan. Sasuke replied. What about Naruto and Sakura? I asked. Sasuke let out a soft and almost inaudible sigh and said, before I think about them I need to sort my own thoughts first. Honestly, I'm surprised that those two even want to talk to me still after everything that's happened. A slight smile graced my lips as I thought, I'm glad that Sasuke has opened up so much to me. It's probably because I'm the only other person his age who knows the truth about Itachi. Surprised that they still want to hold on to their bonds with you. Don't underestimate those two. One is a serious blockhead who is too straightforward for his own good. The other is hopelessly and blindly in love. I said with a smirk. Sasuke also couldn't help but smirk a little as he thought about Naruto and Sakura's personalities. I continued on, but even if one is too straightforward, the great thing is that you always know what he's thinking. And no matter how ridiculous the situation, he'll always follow through. That's his ninja way. As for the other one being hopelessly and blindly in love, well, even if it seems a bit naive of her, she has never given up on you. She has always continued to believe in you, and everything she does is done with great passion and vigor and hope. Sasuke had a soft and complicated expression on his face as he recalled Naruto and Sakura's faces. I smiled as my back was turned to Sasuke and said, I think you can travel without being too worried about such complicated things like what a village is and what a clan is. Take it slow, Sasuke. Take your time to think about such things. Come up with your own answer. See for yourself what the world is like. When things seem to be getting too complicated again, just come back home to Konoha. After all, you have two sturdy boulders behind your back. When it gets complicated, talk to the yellow-haired straightforward one. He's sure to give you the most ridiculous but yet simple answer and keep you grounded. When you feel that you're wallowing in the dark again, go see the pink-haired blindly in love one. You don't even have to say anything to her yet she'll take care of you with great love and attention. She'll just be happy that you're in her presence. And I think that kind of comforting silence will help light up your darkness. And when you feel like you do want to talk about complicated matters, I guess I'm the one you're stuck with, Sasuke. Sasuke smirked one more time and said, HMPF. You sure talk a lot. Hey, you could talk more. I replied. We both just remained on top of the fourth stone head in comfortable silence amidst the glow of the setting sun. One standing and one sitting as we watched the hustle and bustle of the village below. Knock knock. HM. I turned to look at the door as I laid in my bed. Wonder who that is. I walked over and opened the door to reveal one stunning Hanabi. Good morning, she said with a smile. I smiled as well and said, you should pay me a visit every morning if you're gonna start the day looking like that. Oh. Looking like what? She said teasingly. I lowered my head down to her ear and whispered, like an angel. Her face turned completely red but she remained grounded. Ahem. Hayashi coughed as he stood at the end of the hallway. I was inwardly startled. I completely overlooked Hayashi's presence as my face turned a slight shade of pink before returning to normal. I quickly straightened back up and said, "Ahem. So Hanabi, what brings you here this morning?" Hanabi just gave me a wink as I shook my head. She knew her father was present but didn't say anything. I can't tell if she's teasing me or her father, both I guess. "I came to tell you that I'll be out for a few days. I'm going to the Take-Tori clan. Have to fulfill my duties as the next head of the clan and sort out some political stuff, so I just wanted to see you first before I left." Hanabi replied straightforwardly. I stared at her for a moment before I nodded my head and said, "Amen. So you've seen me." She pouted and said, "You don't seem to care much that I'll be gone for a while." I smirked and whispered, "Well, I don't think your father would like my original goodbye gift." Hanabi's face turned red as I laughed and said, "Hey, what the heck are you thinking about? I assure you it wasn't anything inappropriate." "Why you?" "I wasn't thinking anything like that." "Stop teasing me," she replied. "Ha ha ha, but you're fun to tease," I said. I let out a relaxed and happy sigh and said, "Hanabi, be safe. Keep my special kunai with you no matter what." "Amen. Then I'll be off. Don't do anything reckless," she said as she walked off with her father while waving goodbye. Just as they reached the bottom of the apartment building, a loud boom sound was heard. "Hanabi!" I mentally screamed as I instantly teleported to her side. "Hey! Izaya!" Hanabi said in surprise. "Phew!" I let out a sigh of relief. Hayashi also looked at me, surprised at how fast I arrived. Right, Hayashi doesn't know that I gave Hanabi one of my special kunai, I thought. I then turned to look into the distance where several large dust clouds emerged in the air. "Looks like the village is under attack," I said. "What?" Hayashi and Hanabi said as they both activated their Bakugan to take a look. "That robe, it's the Akatsuki," Hanabi said. Right at that moment a giant centipede appeared near us. Before anyone else made a move, Hanabi dashed forward and struck out with her right palm, saying, 8 trigrams vacuum palm. A powerful force of air blasted the centipede, leaving it in a disoriented state as Hanabi jumped in the air at the level of its face and said, 8 trigrams 16 palms. The centipede was subject to a series of powerful consecutive strikes before Hanabi once more said, 8 trigrams 32 palms. She continued her onslaught of an attack on the centipede, effectively leaving it motionless on the floor before she performed one backflip to distance herself from the summoned creature and threw out a kunai-attached paper bomb. The kunai stuck right in the eye of the centipede as the paper bomb exploded, causing the centipede's head to completely shatter into bits and pieces. Hayashi and I just turned to look at each other in a daze for a moment, as we didn't expect Hanabi to be the one to beat both him and I to the punch. At this moment the human path pain arrived behind Hanabi and was about to strike out with his hand. My heart instantly clenched as I saw red in my eyes, and I arrived by her side instantly and said, "Taiyaugan." A golden sphere of dense chakra and elemental forces gathered in my palm as I grabbed the hand of the human path pain and thrust my hand straight through its chest. Within the next few seconds it instantly became nothing but a pile of ashes. Huff. 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 I panted heavily as I hadn't realized I was holding my breath a few moments ago. I quickly regained my composure and said to no one in particular, "Don't touch her with your filthy hands." Hanabi turned as she stared at my back. Her heart felt warm in that moment. "Well, I had my Bakugan activated, so I saw him coming and was prepared to dodge, but this is a nice feeling too. She snapped out of her thoughts in the next moment as she heard what Izaya said. She grabbed my clenched fist and said, "Izaya. It's okay. I'm fine." Hayashi just stared in a daze. He wanted to rush out with all his being to save his daughter. He knew he'd be a bit slow, but he was determined, yet before he could move from his spot, Izaya had already made a move. So this is the boy Hanabi was close with a. Not bad, not bad. And I told her to stay away from him. He slowly shook his head. I turned to Hanabi at this moment and gave her a tight hug which surprised her, but she welcomed it all the same. After a few moments I let go and said, "Hanabi. This guy is pretty strong. I know you're strong as well, but don't fight anyone who has similar looks as the guy earlier, okay? Promise me." Hanabi noted my seriousness and said, "HMPF. I can take care of myself. But fine. I promise. You too. Don't do something reckless if you know this guy is strong. Honestly, who was the one in the hospital for more than a week, huh?" I smiled and looked to Hayashi, who gave a nod in silent understanding. I then disappeared, flying to another part of the village. This guy. He just demands stuff and then comes and goes as he pleases. Hanabi pouted. "Hanabi, let's go find your sister Hinata and group up," Hayashi said. "Amen." She nodded. Deva Pain furrowed his brow as he was fighting Hatake Kakashi at this moment. He noticed that one of the paths of pain had not only been defeated, but had been vaporized into nothing but ashes. Even the King of Hell technique wouldn't be able to revive it without some sort of body part left. Just as Kakashi was being pulled by a gravitational force towards Asura Pain's giant chainsaw, several tens of bones protruded from the ground and stabbed the Asura Pain in multiple areas, prompting Deva Pain to stop his technique and jump backwards to avoid being impaled. Kakashi regained his footing as Kimimaro joined him at this moment. "Interesting," Deva Pain simply said as he stared at Kakashi and Kimimaro. "Who's this one?" Kimimaro asked. At this moment the Kakashi standing next to Kimimaro dispersed into nothing but electricity and dissipated into the air as the actual Kakashi walked out from underneath some rubble and walked over to Kimimaro. Deva Pain narrowed his eyes as he now just realized that Kakashi would have been fine even if Kimimaro didn't intervene just now. "Truly crafty," Deva Pain commented. Kakashi stared at Deva Pain with his Sharingan and said, "This guy has the ability to push and pull objects with him acting as the center. He can repel not only physical attacks but also ninjutsu. He also shares his vision with the other Pains with the Rinnegan." "I see," Kimimaro said as he watched Deva Pain closely. "In this short time that we fought you have managed to discern some of my abilities. I am truly impressed," Deva Pain commented. He then turned to Kimimaro and said, "If I'm not mistaken, you are the one who defeated and captured Haiden." Kimimaro nodded indifferently and said, "I was. He talked and yelled a lot." Deva Pain just stared for a moment in silence before saying, "Where is the Nine Tails?" At this moment 3 figures fell from the sky and landed by Kakashi and Kimimaro. Fwish fwish fwish. They were precisely the 5th Hokage Tsunade, the 3rd Hokage Hiruzen, and Izaya. "Like we would ever tell you people," Tsunade said with a scowl. Deva Pain narrowed his eyes with caution and said, "It appears you people first need to be taught a lesson of what pain is." Hiruzen looked at me and said, "How did it go, Izaya?" I nodded and said, "Don't worry, other than us there aren't any others close in the vicinity." "Foolish," It matters not how close or how far anyone is. I will let you all know what true pain is. Deva Pain said as he started to float up high into the air. At this moment everyone knew that Deva Pain was about to do something drastic. This is it, I mentally exclaimed. He's going to use an extreme version of his almighty push ability and destroy all of Konoha. Now is the time to activate the barrier and prevent him from doing any major damage. I turned to Kakashi, Kimimaro, Tsunade, and Hiruzen and said, now. They all nodded as I teleported Kakashi, Kimimaro, Tsunade, Hiruzen, and myself to the designated markers I prepared before coming here. Swish 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 swish. All 5 of us stood at a corner perfectly opposite one another as Pain was already high up in the air. At this moment Hiruzen, Tsunade, Kimimaro with Kakashi, and I formed the ram hand sign. Just as Deva Pain said almighty push, the 4 of us said, ninja art for red yang formation barrier. As the power of the gravitational push started expanding from the center out, the 4-sided red barrier rose up in brilliance as we kept the distance of the barrier short to minimize how much damage would be done to the village. Deva Pain widened his eyes in shock as the powerful gravitational push shoved against the barrier on all sides but was unable to break it. After a few moments of attempting to break the barrier but to no avail, Deva Pain ended his technique as he silently thought to himself. I've praised Konoha's Shinobi many times before, but I still must say it once more. Konoha's Shinobi are truly capable. To think that they even predicted and prepared for something like this. After focusing all of my chakra on using this large-scale technique, my powers won't return for a while. As Deva Pain slowly fell down to the small crater he created, I sensed that his power was truly weakened, so I stopped the activation of the barrier to conserve our chakra as it was a really chakra-taxing technique to use. This prompted Tsunade, Hiruzen, Kimimaro, and Kakashi to stop as well. Deva Pain looked on confused. They ended up releasing the barrier. Why? Have they predicted that after using such a large-scale technique that my powers won't return to me for some time? Or perhaps it's that they aren't able to use this barrier for long periods of time, he mentally questioned. The second Deva Pain touched the ground, another figure appeared in front of him. Deva Pain frowned and said, "Who are you?" "He. Uchiha Sasuke." "You bastard," Sasuke said as he glared at Deva Pain with his Mangekyou Sharingan activated. "Uchiha Sasuke. Then you are Uchiha Itachi's younger brother. I see that you have awakened the Mangekyou Sharingan. It appears Toby has failed in recruiting you," Deva Pain commented. Sasuke just frowned as he narrowed his eyes at Deva Pain. Soon a figure fell from the air as it weaved the signs for boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram and said, "Summoning Jutsu." As it landed next to Deva Pain, the other paths of pain fell from the sky as well after being summoned. Altogether a total of 5 paths of pain remained. The Asura Pain was also completely healed from its earlier incapacitated state. It was also at this moment that a cloud of smoke appeared and several other figures jumped down from the sky. Swish 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 swish. As the puff of smoke cleared, it revealed a total of 7 people who stood opposite of the 5 pains. Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto, Hatake Kakashi, Tsunade, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Kaguya Kimimaro, and Karasuma Izaya. That's it for this video, guys. Hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe the channel. Also make sure you give me your recommendation in the comment section down below. Thank for watching.